Castlevania Symphony of the Night in just a moment.
Gank in there.
The necessary jank factor.
Okay, say something, guys.
Something, guys.
Hello.
Speaking with the volume I will be during the run, hopefully.
Roughly the same.
Yeah, we're ready. We're pretty much ready to go.
Okay. Tell me when we're live and I'm gonna do a countdown for the timer. Actually, Turbo, can you...
Yeah, yes. We should remind everyone that we have donation incentive for this game.
Yes, the donation incentive
is to save Richter, and currently Don't Save Richter is winning by $15, and Save Richter is stuck at 5. So if you want to change that, you still have a chance to do it. We're going to cut up the bidding in the middle of the run, and we're going to announce it 3 minutes before.
Yeah,
it's
we're
actually
going to
time
be
do
doing
anything.
the cutoff at picking up the gravity boots, which is before where we would need to get the holy glasses to save Richter. Okay, we're
before.
pretty much ready.
You guys want to see Alucard meet a 16-year-old girl in a small chamber in the middle of the castle.
That is correct.
All right.
Okay, so do you guys want to do the countdown?
You do a 9 countdown because there's a offset to this game. So from 9.
Okay. Shall I start?
Yeah.
Okay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Perfect.
All right. So everybody, this is TurboDog702 with TalicZealot, the runner for Castlevania Symphony of the Night. We are coming to you live for this ESA pre-stream. First thing I'd like to cover right off the bat for this game, there's a lot of speed tech, and even in the prologue there's a lot. Despite playing Richter for only a short time, we have some goals to do. You can see Talic is throwing holy water off the side of the stage, and the goal here is to get 0 holy water at the end of this fight, which is important because it'll give us a heart refresh, which will be used for a very, very abusive glitch later on in the game to skip a lot of content. He also picks up an excess of 41 hearts before the cutscene in order to get a neutron bomb, which we will be using at the beginning of the run in order to try to preserve our very powerful Alucard equipment.
Drac with the 2 jumps there, the Michael Jordan. What a boss. That loses a little bit of time, but it's not too big of a deal.
The most important part of the run is to swag after killing Drac too.
Of course.
Backflips and wall kicks.
Gotta show
So we're
off
quickly
our
getting
Richter mechanics in action.
So we're quickly getting into the main game with Alucard. The main speed tech that you're going to see for this first part of this run is known as shield dashing. Basically, the game has a backdash built into it that you can do by pressing a button. Primarily, it's supposed to be used to dodge stuff inside of the game, but people quickly found out that it's faster than just running forward, and we also discovered that by flicking out your shield and other select items, you can basically hit dash again and move extremely quickly. The backdash itself, the back end of it kind of slows down, so you want to try to get the front part of it as much as you can. We do that by mashing them shield and backdash as fast as we can. So here we're coming up to one of the first major speed techs of the game. It's called the Death Skip.
There we go.
And what happened there is Alec manipulated his experience so that when he killed that warg, it would level him up, causing a screen freeze. When he froze the screen, he moved in such a way to mess up the camera and cause him to zone into the death room 1 pixel to the left. By doing that, it gave him a negative X value when he went into the death room and ejected him to the right side of the screen. So he was able to skip the cutscene that would steal all of our super powerful equipment at this point. Very, very powerful mechanic. So the main part of this is just, making really, really good jumps. The Alucard sword is extremely abusive, and we have really powerful gear, so that'll kind of carry us through the first part of this run. And pretty soon we'll be coming up to the first boss of this.
Yeah. I'll also be trying to do a double kill to kill both of them, because the first boss is actually 2 bosses in one. So I'm gonna try to kill them at the same frame. It doesn't save that much time, but it makes the clock rush, which we call this first section of the speedrun, a little bit easier, a little bit simpler to do, especially on the PSX version, which I am doing.
So we're going to get to see the Wonder Twins coming up, the CB4 alumni of Slogger and Gaibon.
And that was the double kill there.
Nice job. And that can help us out with experience manipulation, which is a pretty high-end technique for this game.
It's not super important for this category specifically, but it still helps us out a little bit. I'm gonna be picking up a potion, which is gonna make my life easier a little bit later. Hopefully.
So we mentioned the clock rush, and to kind of break down what that is, in just a short time, Talic is going to be going into a cutscene with Maria, and we call that the clock room. The clock room has the left side of it opens on even minutes and closes on odd minutes, and we need that to be open at certain times in order to access the Colosseum later on. So the first part of this run, the goal is to go to Outer Wall, get the Wolf Relic, and return to that clock room in under 9 minutes in order to effectively get into the next part of the game. If you were to somehow get there in under 8 minutes, you'd have to wait for it to open anyway.
We just met
So
Maria.
it should be noted.
Whether we meet her again or not, it's in your hands, pretty much.
So you notice that Talic picked up the stopwatch sub-weapon that will be used in just a little bit, and I'll kind of cover that as we get to it.
And this is why the double kill was kind of a factor, because when I killed both of the bosses at the same time, it allows me to actually kill those weird things at the start of the room instead of jumping over them. It's not significantly faster, but it's actually a lot simpler, and keeping your shield dashing rhythm in this room is kind of important for a good long hallway.
Yeah. That's also the part where a lot of newer runners to the game tend to experience a lot of hand pain and stuff, because that is a lot of shield dashing at the end of an already pretty long sequence of it. So this guy coming up here, Doppel, he is one of only 2 bosses in the game that are completely susceptible to stopwatch. So because of that, we're able to just completely dunk all over him in both encounters. Normally, bosses only get slowed down slightly, and sometimes basically nothing at all happens. But Doppel is an exception to that.
We'll be making the ascension in the outer wall, going towards the Wolf Relic, which we'll be using to make a big sequence break in the clock room we were talking about earlier. So we aren't supposed to be able to do a dive kick at this part of the game. You would need a leap stone for that, but there's a quirk in the game. Whenever you untransform from any of your transformations, it being Bat, Wolf, or Mist, you can actually dive kick straight down. And we can kick off of the candle there in the clock room and go straight to Colosseum very early in the game.
Very, very early compared to what is intended by a reasonable route in the game. So you'll see that Talic is going to be doing what is known as a wolf jump here. Basically, the wolf has very, very odd mechanics when running and jumping up slopes, and that allows him to get on top of there and get a garnet. We'll be saving that garnet for later, where we'll be using the fairy card to make it have babies. So coming up here is a rather new technique that's kind of emerged. I think the first person that I saw use it was Ben Outler. Possibly the Squall had something to do with that as well. And it's been refined over time with a bunch of people helping out. But turning into Wolf here is very strong because it allows us to do a Wolf jump up into the next section. You can also jump up some of the little platforms, and the Wolf maintains speed while jumping, while his Alucard would have to like very slowly make his way up.
Unfortunately, I couldn't make the final jump there. It's a little strange to do. Shoutouts to Dram55 for actually teaching much more experienced, supposedly players of the game how to do it better.
So that's the clock rush, and we did make it in a good time there to be able to get into the next section.
these Scalarangs here don't mind us if we just don't invade their personal space too much.
They're super huge cowards.
Indeed. You know who isn't a huge coward though? Blade Masters. Those guys need quite a bit of tinkering, but luckily for us,
man.
their AI is fully manipulatable. Is that a word? It is now.
Yeah. Dude, watch
There
how
we
much
go.
of a super coward this second and third guy are after they see their homie get beat down. Just jumps away. He wants no part of this.
Yeah, the second guy really tries to slide me, but for some reason when you jump and attack, they try to slide, which makes no sense because you're in the air.
So, this is the Minotaur Werewolf fight. The reason why they're standing there and just getting wailed on is because we're able to skip the Richter cutscene here with a new game, with a clear file. That makes it so that Minotaur and Werewolf's AI doesn't actually trigger until the original cutscene would end. So it buys you a lot of time. So normally in any percent we'd be using the library card after picking up the mist, but we're going to make a slight detour to pick up the shield rod, which is easily among the most abusive and most powerful things inside of Soten.
And I'm gonna be equipping the potion that I took earlier to hopefully make this next part a little bit easier.
We're going to get to see if Alucard has learned how to read.
Oh my god. Oh well. Not sure how that happened. So, the book stayed too far away to the right, and that's why I wasn't able to... Oh boy. And now we have no mana.
Alright,
Shoutouts to Dusty, bro.
so he's going to have to do an adjustment here in order to kind of continue on. So normally we would pick up the fairy card at this time, but because books are jerks at times, he's going to go ahead and make his way to Lesser Demon and make his way to kill, or make his way to get the bat first.
Yeah, I'm just
But
waiting
right
to
now he's
have
got to wait.
a little bit over 20 mana so that I can miss. There you go. So that will lose us some time, unfortunately, but we can still keep going.
Yeah. Just one of the unfortunate things about running this game in pretty much every single well-played format is just those books can be very, very frustrating to get past, and there's many patterns that they can give you that are just unfavorable no matter what technique you use. As you could see, the book never even really came in range of them, so it was kind of problematic. So Lesser Demon's a boss, presumably, but even with Alucard's sword, he kind of gets beat down pretty hard. So we're going to pick up the bat relic here. Would you like to kind of explain a couple of the advantages of using the bat here, Alec?
Yeah, the bat has a... well, first of all, we can go and fly up to places that we wouldn't be able to reach otherwise, but in the speedrun sense, the bat allows us to wing smash. That's the fastest method, well, the fastest easily accessible method of moving through the air and sideways pretty much in the game. And that is it.
You'll
That's the
notice
wing
at
smash.
times that we kind of make corrections to ourselves, and that's just because Soten is such a rich and deep and complex game that talking in absolutes is kind of difficult because there's always some sort of weird exception.
I can also use the mist in a very short burst to transform to the bat and to into the wolf as well, and make the actual transformations shorter. It also is very useful because you can use it during a wing smash. Usually if you let it end, you will transform back to Alucard form, but that way we can actually turn around.
It can also help because it kills your forward momentum during a wing smash, so you can reposition well. So what we're doing now is we're using the fairy's sound file that plays when you first summon her to break the Master Librarian's talking sequence, and that allows us to pause while we're inside his shop. What we do then is we open his cell menu. The game reads us having 1 garnet. We then enter our menu and equip the garnet that we have. The game still reads us as having 1 in the shop, but we actually have 0, so that when we sell the garnet we don't have, it underflows us to 255. It gives us a bunch of garnet babies, which we're then going to use to buy all of the most abusive stuff that we use in this run, including a duplicator, which is an item that allows us to use consumables infinitely. The Buffalo Star, which is a second castle consumable item that does exceptional damage and gives us range and can replace shield dashing. The Mana Prism, which essentially gives us infinite mana and a source of invincibility. And then the Jewel of Open and a library card, which are basically needed for progression and just fast movement at certain parts.
Yeah. What should be noted is that unlike the wolf, the bat preserves horizontal momentum, so we can use the backdash and later on the dive kick to kind of do some cool movement. And even after that, the gravity boots will allow us to do some very interesting stuff that is unique to the all bosses category. And makes it very interesting when it comes to the crazy movement in some of the rooms.
So, Clock Tower's pretty cut and dry. Karasamon's kind of a boss, but we're going to destroy him. If we have any donations, anything like that, that would be the time to read. Make sure to go ahead and give donations to this cause as well, guys. ESA gets a lot of great content out there on a very small budget, I would say. So, like, any money that you can give to them to help out and improve production values would be greatly appreciated. Especially since, you know, they have to represent kind of the entirety of Europe for a major speedrunning event. And it's awesome to see so many different countries coming together and participating in a hobby that they love.
So up until now, the speedrun, we pretty much were mostly concerned with getting our movement abilities. And on the way, of course, killing some of the bosses, getting some of the other important stuff like the duplicator. And but now that we have all our tools, now we can just start going on our way and killing boss after boss after boss. Even though the category is called all bosses, the actual main attraction here is the pretty much moving from place to place. The bosses die very quickly.
Yeah, there is an exceptional amount of movement tech in Symphony of the Night, and to execute it all flawlessly is extremely difficult.
And there I was doing the bat kick, using the leap stone and the momentum preservation of the bat. Okay, now we're gonna do a very funky skip that uses the fact that these rooms are a little bit weird in how their transition areas work. There we go.
So the doors are kind of broken in the chapel.
Yeah.
And when you cause a screen pause during a transition, even more so. So that allows us to get out of bounds there, bypass the statue that blocks off Olrock's quarters, and then subsequently even bypass the red door to go into the next area. We used to use good old leather shield for that, but unfortunately, Rip Cow has been turned into steaks and ribs.
Olrock's here dies extremely quickly because of the power of our shield. It does 255 damage every 4 frames. It also heals us, gives us hearts, and makes us invulnerable.
Would we be able to see where we're at as far as the donation incentive? Does anybody want to see a 16-year-old girl get seen inside of the middle of the castle and give you green sunglasses?
We're currently still at $15 to don't save Richter and $5 to save Richter.
Okay. Cutoff is coming very soon. I did buy a boomerang.
Oh man, we gonna see some sweet out of bounds stuff?
Well, we're gonna try, at least. Okay, so cutoff is pretty much now for saving Richter. And I'm assuming that we are gonna be going fast today.
Is there any other way to go?
Can go at a marginally tepid speed, just not so hot, but so what we're going to be doing here is a wolf clip, and what a wolf clip does is basically when you jump very specifically while moving at a higher speed as the wolf and untransform.
Bye bye textures.
The wolf's hitbox disjoints and allows you to go into certain slopes, and that allows us to bypass going through the blue door. It saves about 30 seconds going in here. However, on PlayStation versions of the game, as you can see, the game doesn't like it when you just load an area without loading any of the textures. So we kind of have wrong textures here. This is actually one of the more charming things about running the game on a PlayStation version.
Yeah, we're gonna see it one more time, and it's gonna be even crazier in green. Yeah, he didn't get the balls.
I'd also like to give a shout out to kind of all of the Soten community, and like really in general, Talic is one of the strongest runners that we have. You wouldn't be able to necessarily notice that from his time comparing it to say like a Dragon Blitz or a Rom Scout or Ben Outen or Mitako. But you have to keep in mind that he's playing this on a very suboptimal version, and he does some very, very, very strong stuff within his realm here.
Thank you.
He's been also pretty important for like testing a lot of this stuff, kind of brainstorming new ideas. Breaking Soten has really been a community effort.
Okay, now we are gonna try to do another zip here. There we go. That door didn't spawn. So now we're straight gonna go back in the other room. Boom. Saves about 15 seconds, I think, on PSX.
So by causing the game to lag a certain way and kind of cause a graphics overload, you can keep the door from spawning. And then when you re-enter that room, the door pushes you downward. You can escape much faster. Otherwise, you would have to wait for a door to open on the other side and then traverse 2 rooms as well. What's up, frogs? Ribbit.
Let's talk about frogs a little bit later. Oh, okay, that guy may be an issue, actually. He escaped. Let's see if he's gonna come back to hunt us. Okay, Donkey Kong, please.
What are you doing, Kermit?
There we go. They didn't give us too much issues right now. Okay, let's see if I can do this. It's pretty tricky.
So we're going for some sweet out-of-bounds boss kill swag.
Okay, try again.
Oh man, we're real close that time.
Whoops. I'm gonna try one more time, and if I don't get it, I'm just gonna continue as usual.
So this is normally used for a category that we call zero bosses, which, as you might be able to tell, means, you don't kill the bosses. Or we make them, have heart attacks, one of the two. Kind of the same.
I'm gonna kill him the normal way. It's a little bit of a weird trick, because if I want to have good speed while I'm in the floor, I want to jump inside of the door that's gonna come over me and clip me inside of the floor. But unfortunately, it's very easy to jump out of the room straight up.
So since we're coming kind of to the end of the first castle, I'd like to mention that we do not defeat Richter inside of the all bosses speedrun, and that's because the game actually doesn't track Richter as an objective in the time attack mode. And I believe that's the main reason why he's not considered a boss for the purpose of all bosses.
If we kill Richter, it would end the game, and if we kill, in order to kill the Shaft Orb, it's a very roundabout way, and it isn't usually tracked.
So we're just going to be making our way over towards Richter. So if the host would actually like to mention anything regarding ESA, any quick announcements? Will it be for Doctors Without Borders once again?
No, actually, we're going to change up the charity this time around. We're going to go with Save the Children as our charity
nice.
for this year's event.
Cool.
Right, so that's good.
Actually, we didn't get to mention this yesterday, but we're going to change the name of the event as well.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
We're going to rename it from ESA to ESA. We're just going to replace Speedster with Speedrunner. Makes much more sense.
Makes more sense, yeah. I think a lot of people already called it that.
Yep, I think so too.
Alright, so we're going to be coming up on probably one of the most, if not the most infamous sequence break in the game, known as the Richter script, Richter skip, aptly. Talik will cover that once he gets past it. Would you like to kind of explain what happened there,
Yeah.
Talik?
So the room that Richter is in has two states. One of the states is before you beat the Shaft Orb, and one of them is after. So the way the game tracks it actually helps us a little bit, because there is a switch that checks whether or not you have defeated him. But we can completely circumvent that switch. And luckily for us, the switch actually doesn't even extend all the way up to the staircase switch, so we just jump with the wolf over it. Another way to do that is to clip out of bounds to the room above, or to use a certain frame of the bat transformation to enter the room without triggering the check. Shoutouts to Forgotten Moose.
Really all the tasking in general as well. Morgan Moose being kind of a prime example of who's put in probably the most extensive task stuff to date. But also people like Articado, kind of from the old school. Sockfolder's done some pretty strong work for the Soten community as well. Pirate Sephiroth. Once again, a lot of people contributing to really making Soten the speed game it is today.
Cloak Knights. We try to very quickly go out of this game. Oh wow.
So something to note is you'll notice that Talik is moving up and down with wing smashing. That is possible, obviously, with wing smash, but you do need to manually control it, and that can be very difficult. He's been using a technique known as infinite wing smash that we haven't been talking about too much. If you do the wing smash motion within the first 68 frames or so of a wing smash, you can continue to do it at the cost of mana. So basically, when Talik is going a very long distance with the wing smash, he is constantly doing a 3/4 circle motion in order to maintain his wing smash. And it's very, very difficult, especially for newer players to do. And it's a real testament to the mastery of the skill when you can go through exceptionally long hallways or continue to do an IWS even when you're going up and down and such.
Yeah, the movement in this game looks very cool and is also extremely satisfying when you finally manage to get a room strategy down.
Yeah, Soten is not a game that will kill you with bosses or physical death in the game, but it kills you in losing a second here, losing a second there. And sometimes it's even worse because there's not even a finality to it. You're just like, well, I lost 10 seconds, but I didn't die, so let's keep going. And then you lose more time elsewhere. Yeah, it can be frustrating, even though you don't necessarily have the risk of death. So we're going to be coming up to the second form of doppelganger that I mentioned that is also vulnerable to the stopwatch.
Yeah, we're also going to be attempting to completely circumvent any experience that he would give us, because for some reason it seems to reduce the lag in this room, and we do that by going inside of him for a little bit. That's it. There's a lot of little quirks about this game, and we use a lot of them in the speedrun. Oh, rock knife. They really tried there.
Oh man.
That's okay.
Yeah,
We
Rock
have-
Knights and Frogs. Rock Knights and Frogs notorious in the 360 version of this game for disjointing their hitboxes off of the sprite entirely.
Yeah, they still do quite a bit of damage here.
So
Luckily, we
everybody
have the
say hi to
shield of-
death.
The shield of ultimate destruction. That helps us to deal with such issues.
Everybody say bye to death now. That's basically as hard as whip only in CV1 to beat death. It's roughly the same difficulty.
Pretty much, yeah. This room, in general, this section can be very tricky to navigate. We do a very
was a
specific
very, very
set
strong.
of. Yeah, the ending was a little bit wonky, but it was pretty good. Whoops.
It's hard
Oh,
to
yeah.
realize it from that room, but that room is extremely difficult to navigate correctly without hitting everything.
You just saw it there. I usually try to avoid hitting everything with my wing smash bat because it causes it to bonk and then transforms me into Alucard form, which takes a lot of time. Also, I did drop that chain in this in these rooms before this upcoming boss here. Whoa, interesting non-transformation, but the shield is gonna deal with him.
So another thing to note is when you wing smash and you're chaining wing smashes, a room transition will wipe your inputs. So you have to very, very carefully time and space your wing smashes in such a way that you have enough time to enter the transition, come out of it, and complete your next wing smash. So this game is a lot of execution, a lot of positioning.
Also, these
did-
blue enemies, when you kill them, they slow down the game to a crawl, and when that happens, you need to also slow down your input accordingly, which can be a little bit tricky, especially in an area like this where you need to alternate.
So we got a couple of free minutes here. If the host would like to mention anything regarding ESA or donations, anything like that.
No, sorry, I was doing something else. Right, we are hosting the pre-ESA online marathon to raise funds for ESA 2016. We've already reached our initial goal of $1,250,
Nice.
which was meant to secure the storage rent up until the event and for us to assemble 4 new streaming stations, which you might have seen on our Twitter account. Due to unforeseen circumstances at last year's ESA, we basically had to spend our entire contingency fund, which is why we are where we are with an empty bank account this time of year. But now, thanks to the generosity of all you guys, the runners, the donors, the viewers, we made our goal. And right now we're collecting money for our stretch goal, which is to provide dedicated, well-working consoles for the stream station. And if you want to donate, feel free to do so. We only have one more game coming up after this one, and that's Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. So, Akmodon coming up here. He
likes
just
to
wants to
hug
give
us.
you a hug.
Yeah. Shoutouts to Dragonblitz.
Kind of funny thing about Akmodon 2 is his hitbox is extremely backloaded, so that throws off a lot of people new to all bosses when they first see him. And your shield's like in his body and it's not hitting him. Also, the source of Foregone Moose's just the greatest amount of hate that he has for testing this game, just dealing with Akmodon.
Yeah, he likes to party a lot. Akmodon. Whoa. A little bit too close to that end. That's why we did the stopwatch here. In the PSX version, stopwatch can also reduce lag in some situations. When you activate way too many enemies in a quick succession, their AI activation can lag the game a little bit.
So we're going to have a CV reunion here for CV3, as Alucard betrays his friends and kills Trevor and Grant and Sypha. It's actually a very dark part of the run. Pay no attention when it says fake Grant, Sypha, and Ralph. They're the real ones, obviously.
So that Alucard can sleep at night. So this room lags a lot on PSX, and so I'm intentionally trying to press every single button slower than I would normally, because otherwise it just wouldn't get accepted.
So we're coming up to Beelzebub, which is probably one of the most visually impressive bosses inside of Soten, if not the most visually impressive.
Yeah, the lag agrees.
It ain't easy being busy.
And now he's dead.
So we're coming up on the end of the run here. We're going to be doing probably the last major trick inside the game, which is known as
the
relic
biggest
skip.
The biggest sequence break for any percent.
Would you like
even
to
though-
kind of
Yeah, sure.
talk about relic skip a little bit?
Relic skip uses the same principle as the death skip, which is the reverse shift line. We are using this time a hot refresh instead of a level up to do an overflow for our exposition. It will put us in the ceiling this time though. And when we're in the ceiling, we're gonna do some wing smashing. And then we're in the save room right next to above where the clock room is supposed to open up. And
So
that's
yeah,
called the
even
relic
though-
skip.
So even though we did defeat all the bosses that we would need for the body parts to open up the clock, which is the intended thing to do, it's still faster to do this reverse shift line because the clock takes forever to open because it
Yep.
has to do 13 dongs and then it'll open up due to the donging.
Okay, that was a little bit preemptive mashing of start. Because
Alright, we're going to be coming up on
hit.
time here very soon. So,
Yeah, time is
you want to
coming
call it Talik?
I'm ready.
Around
Would be
15
about
seconds.
30 seconds.
This is all bosses. It's gonna be quicker than that. Unless the spell runs out. Time.
You must construct additional pylons.
40 minutes sharp.
Okay.
It's pretty
I'm
good
okay
for
with that.
PSX.
Considering that
Yeah.
the book gave us some issues, that lost us 2 minutes, pretty much. So
Especially to go ahead.
yeah.
We also tried to do the Cerberus.
Oh yeah,
stuff
we
too,
also
which
tried to
takes-
do the Cerberus. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this time. Shout outs to the entirety of the Soten community. You guys are awesome. That's it.
What, we aren't gonna get a I Am the Wind karaoke from you?
I don't have I'm doing on right now.
Oh, we didn't have that. We didn't have that donation incentive, did we?
Not this
Missed
time.
Feel
opportunities.
free to do it if you want.
No
we
way.
need Ramscout
I
for
d-
that. He has the premium.
You don't do
skills.
something for free if you're good at it. People will have to pay for it when Soten makes it into ESA sometime.
Soten has been, I think it was on the first 2 ESAs.
Correct. I believe, who was it? Ozzy? I want to say.
Ozzy, yeah.
Yeah.
Ozzy,
Ozzy's a good guy, Ozzy.
And the castle gets destroyed.
I'm pretty sure Ozzy is actually just waiting to fight Dracula. He's been studying a lot of Japanese, so I'm guessing he's going to try to help out Soma in 20 years or whatever it is.
So we have Donkey Kong coming up, and that's I think the final run of the marathon.
Yeah, that's the final run.
I want to wish the best of luck to the ESA guys. I'm glad that the goals got met.
Yeah, continue to spread the word, not just for pre-ESA, but for ESA as well. Everybody in the chat. Hopefully you guys enjoyed what Soten had to offer, and maybe that'll entice you to maybe look into it yourself. We have a lot of tutorials online and a very helpful community as well. So, yep.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and playing Soten, Talik, and Turbo. We're
Anytime.
gonna go to intermission now and set up for the final game.